Tia Huntsberger with Closet Factory in Colorado, and I'm a senior designer and an expert on helping people with building out organizational space. Welcome to this month's edition of Designed for Organization. I'm going to be bringing Kelly on here in a minute to join me. We're going to talk this month about bathrooms. I don't know about you, but that seems to be one of those places where things just seem to pile up. Like you need more and more and more, but nothing ever seems to go away. So we're going to get Kelly's input on kind of what to do with our bathroom storage challenges. Will be a nice way to say it. Kelly will join me here in a minute, and let's see here if I can get her on with me. Kelly, I think I just sent you an invite. Let's see if you can. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Made it.
We made it. Here we are. Happy October. Can you believe it's October already?
No, absolutely not. That has to be the fastest summer ever.
Yeah, it's like, I know, it feels like it was June the other day. I don't know.
Absolutely agree.
So, Kelly, let's talk about bathrooms.
Let's do it.
Now, kids are back to school. We should be getting into this like fall routine by now. And bathrooms is a struggling point for a lot of people. As I mentioned earlier, for me, I feel like I always need new things in my bathroom, but I never take anything away.
Absolutely. It's common. It happens. I think a lot of it's because the items are so expensive.
That's true.
So yeah, absolutely. So after you've put that money in, it's like, well, but maybe I'll use it someday, or maybe it'll deliver. So it can be tricky to talk yourself through letting go of those things that just don't serve a purpose anymore.
Right, for sure. We spend lots of money to have these beautiful faces, right?
Lots of money. What an industry, right?
So, off the top, Kelly, what are your top tips for helping us have less bathroom organizational challenges?
Sure. Well, I think it goes back to a lot of the same concept that we've talked about with flow, like in the closet or other areas of the home. And it's getting really present. What are you using right now? What do you actually use and love? And letting go of a lot of the coulda, shoulda, woulda, and the hopes that maybe you had for other items in the space, and just getting really present. So I think the more present we get with this whole morning routine, the more we can create zones, create systems, so that, you know, the way I like to set up my personal space in the bathroom is by task. Okay. So I like to have all of my morning skincare routine together in my zone one at my fingertips. Grab it, use it, go. Same with my night. The nighttime skincare, for myself personally, if it's put away, hidden behind a door, in a drawer, the end of the day comes, you're fatigued, I'm tired. Digging it all out just might be one more step than I actually have energy for. Yeah. But if it's right there at my fingertips, I can just grab, apply, and move on. So
for sure.
Yeah.
What about somebody that doesn't want to see it all? What's your suggestion for that person?
Right. Absolutely. That can still be set up in a functional way, maybe behind a door or the top drawer. One way to go about sorting and categorizing in the bathroom is an everyday space, an everyday drawer, an everyday cabinet. For me, that's a little tray that I keep on the vanity so that I have a boundary. Okay. If without a boundary for bathroom items, they can end up taking the entire countertop.
So it has to fit in the tray.
Yes. And the nice thing is I have just a little bamboo tray, maybe, I don't know, 6 by 9 or something. Not huge, but it's small enough that it keeps me accountable.
Okay.
So when it starts to just get a little too cluttered, that's my signal. That's the cue. Like, hey, time to reevaluate the items on the tray. What am I actually using? And if I'm not using it right now, it could be a season change.
Sure.
So it doesn't mean I have to get rid of it, but it does mean it can go to zone two. It doesn't
Right.
have to take this prime real estate in this little section.
And zone two could be a basket under the sink or something, correct?
Sure, a
Yeah.
lower drawer, a basket under the sink. Sure, just so it's still close by, but not that prime real estate. For me, I have that tray on the countertop every day, use it all the time. And then I have my top drawer with my makeup and those things that I use most days.
Okay.
So they're still there, they're still accessible. Um, I don't like digging through a bag to get ready every day, so I have everything out in little dividers so I can still just grab those items, toothbrush, etc. Then the drawer below that for me is the zone two. The
Okay.
skincare items that I'm not currently using, but maybe I will. All those extra goodies. So a spot for those, and maybe every 6 months I'll clean out that space
Okay.
just to reevaluate.
I'll share a little personal thing that has worked for me over the years. I hate standing over the bathroom countertop and sink and putting my makeup on. I drop things. I feel like it's a mess. And every day you have to like put it in a container and take it out. And it doesn't work for me. So what I did and I always hated putting makeup on. And years ago, I turned it's like a desk, basically. It's like a kid's desk, but I turned it into a vanity and it sits in what I call my dressing room. And I have little like drawer organizers on the computer tray pull out. And that's where I keep my makeup. A few things stay on the counter, brushes stay on the counter and that sort of thing. But I love that personal time. So I went from this thing I hated to do now to this getting it in a more organized and in a different space. I've turned it into some me time that I really enjoy. So
Oh, I love
that's
that
my
so
own
much.
personal story about how I reinvented my makeup storage and how that, and you talk about this all the time about flow and how we use things and how it works for us, but I turned something that I hated to do into something that I really enjoy just because I created a new space and a new way to organize my goodies that went along with that space.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely.
So,
Go
Kelly,
ahead.
let's talk about what I like to call, and if any of my clients are listening today, you've heard me say this, what I like to call bathroom overflow. So at Closet Factory, we don't build bathroom vanities, but I often will build extra cabinetry in a bathroom or redo a linen closet that is connected or right off the bathroom for people for what I call bathroom overflow. And for me, you go to Costco and it's, a great deal to buy 4 bottles of shampoo, but you only need one right now in your bathroom. So it's all that extra that we have that we store outside of the actual bathroom or in a separate cabinet for that backup. Any tips you have on kind of that bathroom overflow storage?
Yes. First and foremost, to just not get carried away with it because these items do expire.
Yeah.
And especially once they're opened, um, if there's not an expiration date, 12 months is probably the end of life for most bathroom products. Unless they're samples, 1 month.
Oh,
Those are created differently. And so 1 month is the expiration on samples. So let those go.
okay.
So when creating that backstock or that overflow space for the bathroom, yeah, lots of tips on that. I think first and foremost to keep it sorted and categorized.
Yep.
So that you have hair, skincare, dental, whatever the categories may be that are appropriate for you. And always, always, always remember to shop at home before you shop because you see it over and over. I mean, I've done it too. Like, oh, I always like to have a backup of soap or something. And then you buy a second 12 pack from Costco and oops, because that's still valuable real estate. And
Yeah,
sometimes it does cost us to store things at home. So we think, oh, this is a great deal. I'm going to get a deal at Costco. But for your sanity and management, you're still paying in some way to store those things at home. So when possible, store it at the store. When you do have that excess, have a linen closet, have a space for it. If you don't have a designated home for the backstock, you don't need to own it because it's just going to get in the way and disrupt the flow, disrupt the energy. And that costs more than the savings of buying it in bulk.
for sure, for sure. And I think there's a balance. Like there's certain things that I know I'll always have a backup of because when I run out, I desperately need it. And there's some things that I can live without for a day or two if I run out of them. But there's a difference between having a backup and having a 12 pack and then another 12 pack. When that happens, that's when you figure out, you know, where's the nearest shelter that I can donate these extra bars of soap to, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another tip too, when it comes to that is maybe keeping a Sharpie nearby so you can mark those items, whether it's makeup in the bathroom or it's the shampoo with the date you purchased it. Because I don't know if I really want to use a 10-year-old bottle of shampoo very badly.
Right.
You know, especially the more we're going to these all natural ingredients, trying to get away from a lot of the synthetic, etc. That's going to reduce the shelf life of a lot of items. And it can become hard to remember, you know, which Costco run did I buy this on? Right. They all get mixed and mashed together. So
yeah, and for me, it, like depending on what the item is would depend on like that expiration date, right? Like, do I can keep this longer because it's something I don't use or need very often, or something I use every day where I want to really make sure, like, if it's a skincare product, I want to make sure it's definitely fresh and good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something that kind of goes along that line too is sets. I think we see this a lot in bathrooms. There's a cute little makeup bag at Nordstrom and it comes with this precious little set, or you get a gift set for Christmas. And without fail, you loved the perfume that was in there, but maybe not the body wash and the extra little pieces. Right. But they're new. And so people tend to hold on to them because they were part of a set and they were new. And I think that's a really good place to, again, get really present and honest with yourself about what do I actually use and love? Because again, it's costing your energy to manage these pieces that you may not even really care about.
Right.
So gifting them to a niece or nephew or a shelter or different places, sometimes it's just throwing them away. It depends on what it is, etc. But keeping it might be costing you.
I have a confession related to sets that's different than that, but related, and you'll appreciate it. My husband ordered this like set of these like lids and jars for bathroom countertop storage. One's for Q-tips, there's some different things. And part of it worked really well for us and immediately went to use. And part of it is still sitting in its box because it's not as helpful for us. And we haven't gotten rid of it. So confession, we need to get rid of it. But again, that like, we got it because part of it worked really well. It was, you know, it wasn't like we were paying for 25 things. It was still a good deal, even if we only used one or two. That worked well, but we kept the rest of the set. So
I love that because it goes back to that idea, like when you purchased that set, were you purchasing the 4 items or were you purchasing the result that the set was going to provide?
For sure.
And if you can get your mindset in a place where you were purchasing the result, it gets a lot easier to let go of those pieces that don't serve that result.
Right, for sure.
So just because there were 25 in a set, do you really want the whole set? Right. Or if you did, okay, what can you do with the rest of it?
Yes. I'll confess there really isn't 25, but there are pieces that are sitting in a box under the sink. Like, you know, when is it going to have a home? So
yeah, it happens.
let's talk about linen closets. So linen closets, again, to me, it's bathroom related. I help people with linen closets a lot. What do we do when the linen closet keeps overflowing? Like we've got more in the linen closet than we really need or fits. What's your thought?
Sure. I think again, it goes back to getting really present with what do you need and use right now,
Okay.
and kind of some guidelines around how many towels do we need. And, you know, there are people that want a fresh towel every day.
Right.
My son is one of them. Then there are people that will reuse a towel a few times, however many. So whatever that looks like for you and your family, I think you need 1 to 2 weeks worth, depending on your laundry system.
Okay.
1 to 2 weeks worth of towels, and then 2 spares for each guest room.
Okay.
For me, I think that's a good rule of thumb because I personally like to keep up with my laundry really regularly so that it's something I do in small chunks all the time, as opposed to waiting 2 weeks and then just feeling overwhelmed by this mountain of laundry. So for me, it's 1 week's worth. That's all I want on hand, because without it, then, you know, it's like clothing. If you have more, you tend to extend a little longer and that laundry becomes more overwhelming. Towel laundry is the same way. So the less you have, the smaller your laundry day is going to be, or your laundry time.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I mean, I think that that relates to like, I think about this in the kitchen, like how many plates do I need? How many forks do I need? I think some people, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but like there's 2 of us that live in my home. Technically, we could have 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 knives, but that would drive me bonkers because I don't want to do dishes after every single time I eat. All the power to the people that can do that. It's not for me. So I think we have to read like what works for us. You know, how you have a great system for, you know, when you wash your towels and you know what you need. So I think figuring out the system helps us then know. It's like a an algebra equation, right? Like I need this for this to equal this, and that's the solution.
Exactly, which is why it's going to be different for everyone. Depending on the ages and sizes and everything else that you have in a home, you're going to have different needs. But one thing that doesn't vary that much, like we talked about towels in the linen closet, but linen closets can become overrun with washcloths and hand towels.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I've seen several clients, they'll purchase the same number of towels, washcloths, and hand towels. But for them, that's not how they use them. Yeah. So then you just end up with clutter. You end up with all these extra linens that aren't really used, but they're still taking up real estate. They're still in the way of creating space for other things.
And that could be from a more or less standpoint, right? Like somebody could use a fresh washcloth every morning, every evening. So they would need lots of those, but they don't need that many towels, right?
Right, for sure. And sheets and blankets.
Yes.
How many extra sheets? You know, I say 1 extra set per bed and done. Because when it becomes more than that, it gets really overwhelming to keep up with them, manage them, cycle them through, etc. So for most people, probably 1 extra set per bed and be done with it.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen some interesting, like in some organizational chat groups online, I've seen people arguing about how many sheets they need, because that take up a lot of space for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I like to get a cute basket that you can see into, but it contains.
Oh, nice.
Because I think sheets are hard to fold and have them look orderly and beautiful. Mm-hmm. And just how much time do you actually want to spend folding them to keep the linen closet looking nice?
Right.
So sometimes the baskets can make it to where, sure, you've still folded them, but you didn't have to use extra time on it, because what you're going to mostly see is the front of that basket or container that has them inside. And I think, again, it provides a nice boundary
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, if the sheets are overflowing from this container,
Yeah.
it's probably time to let some of them go.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Kelly, any thoughts on, like, we've talked a little bit about your own bathroom. What about organizing the kids' bathroom? What are your, when it's not your personal space?
With kids, I always say, first and foremost, going back to the minimal amount to be managed. And it's got to be zone one for kids. That toothbrush, toothpaste, the things that you want used every day, their everyday drawer or space, whatever it might be. It has to be as easy to put it away as it is to get it out. So if for me, I need those things visible and accessible at night, for most kids, they need to be right there in the line of sight just to help build those healthy routines and habits. A lot of times in a kid's bathroom, we'll come across the need for bathtub toy storage.
Okay.
They can just overtake underneath the sink so easily. And it needs to be something where they can dry and the air can circulate, because might not get them dry. Who's going to sit there and dry off bath toys before putting them away, right?
Sure.
And also for under the bathroom sink, you know, there's all types of like tall drawers, different things, alpha shelving, like standalone alpha drawer sets that can go under the sink, and they'll create that storage, especially in a kid's bathroom. It's so nice to have, you know, the extra toys, the extra like diaper, cream, all those little pieces that you need for backup, but where do you put them?
Yeah,
So.
for sure, for sure.
Oh, another thing for kids' bathrooms. So I love the idea of using Rain-X on mirrors or faucets, countertops, just to help reduce that splash effect. And in kids' bathrooms, it's super helpful because they tend to make a little more mess with the water than other people do. And so using Rain-X can be really helpful, especially in there.
For sure, for sure. So, Kelly, one of the things that I love about when I design a linen closet or some extra bathroom related storage is, so we've talked about storing things in zones, but I want to talk about, and I love, when we were talking earlier, I love the fact that we get to create the zone, right? So it can be the time of day that we use it. It can be the subject. Like in my house, we have a first aid box and we have a cold medicine box, and we have like different containers for different subjects, because that's the way my brain thinks. If I need, like I need first aid, I just go to that box, right? But I love the fact that time is another way that we can think about that, which is awesome for me. But I'm going to ask about sizing. So when I design storage space, the beauty of the shelves that we will install, we have adjustability within a cabinet, right? So what's your thought on, like, okay, if I have a hair care bin and I've got some tall shampoo bottles or tall hairspray, but then I have some small, like, you know, combs and brushes and ponytails and all of that stuff in there. What's your thought on different sizes in a similarly subject container?
A lot of times I love to use the large turntables from Container Store, and they're divided. So it's got four sections inside of it, and one of them, on this new one that came out about a year ago, it's actually like a little cup almost that fits inside that piece of the turntable.
Okay.
So it's awesome because hair care often fits really well under the sink where you do have that height to use. But if you don't use a turntable type system, you end up having to reach toward the back, and you get that little domino effect of knocking everything over along the way. So these turntables are a super solution under there, so that you can keep all the hair care in a section, all the extra skincare, whatever it might be, sectioned out, but you just turn it so you can grab what's toward the front. And that little cup can hold those smaller items so that everything's still grouped together. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, I talk about that a lot. I was actually with some clients last night and we were talking about a pantry space. And although it's different subject matter, same idea of like combining like sized items. Because I know a lot of times when I go into a pantry that a builder has done, all the shelves are preset heights. And you've got some where you put canned goods and you've got a whole bunch of empty space above. And then you've got like the mixer that you want to put in the pantry, but it's too tall to fit. So the beauty of what we do is shelves are adjustable, so people can really make that fit to whatever size their container or item is, which I love.
I love that too. And it's so important because, again, being organized is about being present, and things change and they transition. Like, it's not a one-time event that now I'm organized and I'm going to be able to stay this way for the next 20 years.
Right.
Things change every year, every season sometimes. So that adjustability is so important so that the space can still be optimized a year from now, even though it was optimized this minute for what's going on this minute.
Yeah, related to that, I had a little challenge where I've been buying this one type of shampoo that came in a medium-sized bottle and it was working really well. And I went to buy it last week, the week before, and they only had the big giant bottles. And I was like, this doesn't really work. So what I did was I bought the big bottles and they have the pump on them. And then I refilled my little bottles. So the big bottles can go storing away and I can keep the medium-sized bottles in the shower that fit well in there. And it's a backup, but I only need to get to it, every few months I can go in and fill up my bottle. And so that was a little solution where I had a size change that had to happen because I didn't have what I needed in the size I wanted. But I think it's going to work out well.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, because those little things can throw a system so quickly. Yeah. And it's always a trick to, when you have a system, right when you notice that it's starting to unravel, that's the time to grab it and say, oh, what can I adjust to keep the system moving before it completely spirals and unravels? So,
because once it's out of control, we have no idea, right?
Then you have to call us for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's when we call Kelly and her team to come in and help because we just can't figure out. And that's what I love about what your team does is it helps. I mean, even just when you and I have a conversation, it helps me just think about a different solution than, like, we've all heard that story of the woman who always cut the end of the ham off for Christmas dinner. And somebody asked her why, and she's like, I don't know why we cut it off, but that's always what my mom did. Well, come to find out, her mom did it that way because it fit in her mom's pan, not because the end really needed to be cut off. So oftentimes I think we get this one way of doing things because that's what we've been exposed to from our family, from our friends, whatever it is. And it's hard to think outside the box. And even just like your suggestion of like times of day that we use things versus subject matter, I think that may have changed my life. I don't know.
Try it because it's so true. And some people, they like to categorize in the bathroom by face, hair, dental, etc.
Yeah.
Some people like everything by brand. They want the sets, right? Yes. They want their whole Rodan and Fields skincare set together. Nothing wrong with either of those strategies. But for me, I need my morning. I need the deodorant, the perfume, the toothpaste, the skincare, the face wash. I need those together. But for night, I want my moisturizer and my hair oil, all these other things that I'm going to do. I don't need them together because then it's just quick and done.
For me, I think I'm going to try this and I'll give you an update on it. I think zone 1 by time is amazing. Zone 2 by category, because if it's not using every day, then I need to think, okay, I need to go to the hair bin or the skincare bin or whatever it is. I shared this with you earlier, and I will share this, and this relates to bathrooms, but it's kind of out of that. I spend my evenings curled up on the sofa, and sometimes it's with my computer, sometimes a book, sometimes the TV's on. But when I'm winding down on the sofa, I often want to take my makeup off, put some skincare on. And so I actually have a little basket that I keep under my coffee table where I keep some skincare items, because that's where I am when I want them. And so I have this extra little stash there, and it seems kind of crazy, but it's a weird place to keep your facial cleansing wipe, but it worked for me, so I do it.
No, I love that so much because it is very present and it meets your needs right now. And this way it happens. It's not a burden. It's something you enjoy doing while you have your downtime. That's perfection. I love it.
For sure, for sure. Well, Kelly, we are out of time. Can you believe it? Just like we can't believe it's October. We're 30 minutes in, and I know you and I could talk all day, but let's wrap up. We'll be back next month to do this again. Before we say goodbye, any last minute tips, anything you wanted to touch on that we haven't mentioned that is important?
I'll just throw out one thing, that I think it's important to have a 60-second rule for resetting in the bathroom. So if it's going to take you more than 60 seconds to put away all of everything you're using, wipe down the counter, get the mirror clean, it's time for some help or personally resetting. So reorganizing, so that it is a quick 60-second transition and you can maintain the space.
So when you're done getting ready, you can kind of tidy and go and not be worried about things in there, right?
Yep. So if that takes more than 1 minute, it's too long.
Okay, that's a good goal.
Yeah, because anytime something takes less than 1 minute to complete, you can just do it right now.
Right.
If it takes more, then you might have to schedule it, plan it, becomes a burden, etc. So bathrooms are a great space. 1 minute, you're out. So
I love that. Well, Kelly, thanks again for all of your great tips and advice, helping us keep ourselves organized, room by room, subject by subject, space by space. Guys, if you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, mention if you have any comments, questions, mention that in the comments. If you have a subject that you would like us to talk about, we'd be happy to throw that into our lineup. Just let us know and we'd be happy to help. If you need some help with organization in your home or business, call Kelly. If you need some cabinets and organizational space built out, call me, and we'll be back next week, the first Wednesday of the month at 12 o'clock Mountain Time.
Awesome. Thank you, Tia.
Yes, have a great month.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.